Okay, we're going to be doing some basic compositing, and we're going to be replacing a sky. So I'm going to get right into it. And I want to show you a couple of different ways to navigate. We've generally been placing our objects, but I'm going to show you one other way here. So I'm going to just select both of these right now, and I double-clicked out here, or I could go to File, Open. But this is just a little shortcut that a lot of people don't know about. I'm going to hit. I have these both selected, so I'm going to hit Open. And now they come into two tabs. Now we have been just like selecting one and going in File, Place, and that's a good way to do it in some cases. I just want to show you a different way at the moment. So I do have these two tabs, and I can grab one of these tabs and just drag it out and kind of float it around, move it around to my second monitor that I have that you can't see. But there's another way of moving things around a little bit. I'm going to push it back up here and dock it. Is to go to Window and Arrange. Now this is CS6, Adobe CS6, but on CS5 there's a little icon up in here somewhere that that looks very similar to all these. So you may just have to look for that. And I'm going to go to 2 vertical. And so now I can work on both images, or I can see both images at the same time, and all I have to do is just click on them and I can do everything I need to do. But let's just say that we have both of them open, and what I want to do is I want to just drag this one, because this is going to be on top of this one. We're going to replace this blue sky. I can either click on the image or I click on the layer and drag it over and then release, and it plops it right on top. And now you can see that I have 2 different layers here. What I'm going to do is now I don't need that one anymore, so I can eliminate that. So that was just one other way to view your images. So I've got 2 different images here, and I need to get rid of this background. Well, there's a bunch of different ways. I could just use a straight eraser and erase, and I could reveal what's underneath. Or I could use this polygon lasso, I could use polygon lasso tool, and I could, and we already know how to do that, click and click, click, and select all the way around here, which would be very tedious. I can go to my magic wand, and my magic wand is a selection tool. It's based on a tolerance. If I select a pixel right here, it's going to select a range of colors that are darker and a range of colors that are lighter than that pixel that I selected based upon the tolerance. So let me just show you how that works real quick. I'm going to put a tolerance of 5 and click in here, and you can see that it didn't select a very big range of color. I hit Control D to deselect. Let's go to the default, which is 32. Click, and that selected most everything, and it did a really good job. So maybe I wouldn't need to do anything more. I just need to be careful that it's not selecting too much. Maybe it's selecting part of my mountains. I do have contiguous on. That means that it's only going to select pixels that are adjacent to one another. It's not going to select some light blue pixels that may happen to be down here. And that's important when you're doing background replacements on people, and you have a white background. You replace the white background, but you also delete the whites of their eyes if you don't have contiguous on. So you want to make sure that's on. You may need to go up some other times to a higher tolerance to get more. And then I could hit delete. Well, but that is kind of long and drawn out. I'm going to hit Control Z and do that again. That's fine if you want to do that way, but there's another tool here that's underneath the eraser tool, which is the magic eraser tool. And the magic eraser tool does what the magic wand and the delete button do. It's going to select and delete all at the same time. So I've got contiguous on. It has a tolerance as well, so I should be able to just click and it's gone. Now I might want to double check and see if it is, and you can zoom in a little bit and see if I've removed things that I didn't want to have removed. But this is a pretty clean background, and the one that I'm going to have you do for an assignment is also pretty clean. So it shouldn't be too awful difficult. I can though, however, take and turn off the background layer and see if there's any crumbs. There may be little crumbs here. Sometimes I will put another layer and fill it with some color just to see if there's some crumbs. And actually, to be nitpicky, there is a little bit right there. So I'm going to go back to my just a regular eraser tool and just erase, and I was on the wrong layer. So that's a good lesson. I need to be on my sky layer, or my hill layer, and I can get rid of that. Now that I know it's pretty clean, I can turn that off or even just delete it. and I can turn my background back on. So now that's basically the basis of removing the background. But what I want to do now is I want to kind of bump up the contrast on these clouds. So I'm going to go down onto this layer, and I'm going to go to levels, and you can see from the histogram that it could stand brightening up a little bit without losing any detail. So I'm going to move the right slider up, and I've made a significant difference in my clouds there. Now I may want to brighten up and bring out some detail in the back of the hills here. This picture, I think I took out the window going 65 miles an hour down the road, so it may not be real sharp. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go up here because I want to affect this layer, put an levels adjustment, and what happens when I try to brighten this up? It also brightens up the sky and blows out a lot of those nice details in that cloud. Made this nice, but it also affected the clouds. So why did it happen? Well, it's on the top layer and it's affecting everything underneath. So what we want to do is we only want to affect just the hills. So how do we do that? Well, again, we need to have a way to protect this area up in here. So we only want to select the hills. So we could do that with the polygon lasso tool again. We could go all the way around, and we've already decided that wasn't a very good plan. We could also, and I can kind of show you this, the magic wand will select colored pixels, but it will also select nothing. So if I can click in here, I will select all of the nothing. Now that's the part that I don't want, but that's the easiest to select. Then I could go up to select an inverse, or shift control I, and that's going to select everything but the sky. So now I have a selection around my hills, and then I can put an adjustment layer and it will only affect what I have selected. But what I want to do is I want to show you one other way that's even easier than that. There are 3 buttons over here. This in this layer, if I click on this area of the layer, I get layer styles. We've already done that. If I click on the word, I can rename the layer. So I can put hills. And if I click on this thumbnail while I'm holding control down, it is a selection tool. So I click here and it selects everything that's on that layer, but not the transparency. So that's a pretty quick and easy way to be able to select something. Now I go to my levels adjustment. Oh, now I better turn my background on because that's what I want to have affected. Or I mean, I'm sorry, I want to affect the hills. And now I can affect the hills, but I want you to see though that it's not affecting the sky. So I can lighten those hills up considerably, but nothing is happening to the sky. So you can see that. So that's pretty much it. Just tweak that a lot of times. Put that little layer levels adjustment on to tweak the color a little bit. It's pretty easy to replace the sky.